All right. So now you have your permit. You have, which is your CDL permit, whichever one you chose, which was A, B, or C. Now there's a difference because they all involve the amount of weight you can drive. Of course, a semi weigh more than a bus. Of course, a big box truck weigh less than a bus. If you get what I'm saying. Whatever. Whichever one you chose. Now you got, I told you how to get your DOT. You can pay for it or you can have the company authorize it or the school authorize it for you to get it. Paying for it or they pay for it. But if you can't pay for it, let them pay for it. But if you can, or you just need a new one and you don't want your license to be retracted or bumped down to a regular license, just go pay for your new DOT. Take a new DOT physical. You can do that. Okay, so now you got all of that. Now you're ready for the job. So now you're ready for the job. And when you go and start the job, of course, they're going to look at your permit and your DOT. Everything got to be current to start the job, even though they got you there for your first day, everything. And I'm speaking on from me being a bus operator. I've never used my CDL for anything else. I've only ever been a bus operator with my CDL within the last 12 years. So I can't say how other places do it, but this is how Metro does it, the public transit company. When you come in, they check all your stuff and all your credentials. You are who you say you are, everything. So then they'll go over couple of safety things and all that. You may be in class for a couple of days or whatever, but then when you're in class for a couple of days, they give you a pre-trip packet. This packet is so important because this is one of the main things that you will be tested on when you go take your driver exam in the bus or the semi or whatever you get in your CDL for. You have to take the test in that type of vehicle. Now you may know somebody that got one of them vehicles. You could test in their vehicle, but they got to have the proper insurance and license plates and all that stuff. So you got to make sure that you can't just bring anything up there and trying to take your test in it. So it's best to do it through a company or somebody who got their own company and you know them, to just go ahead and do it with them. But they give you this pre-trip packet. I don't know if I have my old one, but I don't want to search for it. But if I do, I'm not gonna get it. But anyway, in this packet, it has everything about the bus that you need to know. From the windshield, the bumpers, the tires, the steering system, the engine, the end cab, which is where you sit at, the stairs, the poles, the doors, what else? Like the braking system, I forgot what it's called. Suspension, whatever. All of that. It got all that in there. You need to know it. You got to know it. And you only get 3 weeks to know it. So when you go out to the bus, they'll start familiarizing you with the bus because in their head, in their assumption, you never driven a bus. But even if you have, you never driven the metro bus. You could have driven the school bus, you could have driven a party bus, but you haven't drove one of these buses. So they're going to do their part and make sure they familiarize you with it, because you can't say you didn't know or you didn't know how that worked or something. Like they didn't teach you. They're going to teach you thoroughly because you're in their vehicle and they want to make sure that you're ready when it's time for you to go out on your own. So in the bus, within the first couple of days when they start taking you out to the bus, they're going to practice, show you how to start the engine, because the bus doesn't take a key and the bus doesn't have like a park button. So for instance, you thinking like how you do your car, you put it in park. That's not how you do the bus. So they'll teach you all those things and where the buttons are, how you do this, how you do that. Like everything you're going to have to show the examiner or talk about to the examiner. They're showing you those things. They're going to show you mostly where everything on that pre-trip form is located. So let's say you're doing in-cab. So you're doing in-cab. That includes the steering wheel, the door handle to open and close the doors, the park brake, windshield wipers, the defrost, the kneeler, like to let the bus, move it down for people who can't take the high step. The kneeler, the indicator lights where you can see you got low coolant or your battery is dying or something like that. Also show you how to turn your engine on into day run and night run. It's two different things. So, for example, on the outside of the bus, they'll show you the engine compartment. You got the surge tank, water pump, the AC compressor, the belt, all those things. They're going to show you that stuff. Now, as you can see, I remember a little bit of it because I went over that stuff so much. Because when you take your CDL exam, you don't want to fail. You're in a class full of 25 people. You don't want to have to come back and say, I failed the test. You're going to be so sad and hurt. You want to pass with everybody else. Well, with whoever's passing. Or sometimes you may be the only one passing. Or have the highest score, like me. Do not let that this pre-trip packet has a lot of things in it. Do not let that discourage you. I'm the type of person that I learn after everybody else already got it. I'm the last to get it. Very smart, but that's because I'm processing everything. Someone else could have got it a week ago. But guess what? It's taking me 2 extra weeks. Because I'm not rushing through it and I'm trying to get it. So, do not let the fact that pre-trip is a lot hinder you, because normally you're saying the same things. You just got to mention it. It's only certain components of the bus where you got to say a specific thing. Like, for instance, you may say, I'll check my head sign, make sure it's mounted securely, it's not cracked. It has a rubber seal. I'll check my windshield to make sure it's not cracked. It's mounted securely, has a rubber seal. My windshield wipers have good tension to the... You get what I'm saying? Some stuff is repetitive. You just have to name the specific thing you're talking about. Like bumper, you're going to make sure it's mounted securely, it's not hanging, no cracks. I mean, you're saying the same things. You just got to know to say bumper, windshield, mirror, free from obstructions, not cracked, bent, or broken, mounted securely. Boom, next thing. We moving on to the next thing. So some stuff is repetitive. You just got to know what the subject is. That's all. And that pre-trip packet is going to be your life for 2 or 3 weeks. Because that is a main portion of your exam. Now, I'll tell you, this part of your pre-trip, if you do not pre-trip this bus correctly when it comes to this, you will fail the test. It is your air brakes test. Those air brakes are so important because you won't have air brakes, you won't be able to stop the bus. There's some things you got to learn about air brakes with PSI and all of that stuff, and know how to feel for when you don't have the air brakes or the system is low or what you're listening for. It's not hard. It's just foreign to a lot of people because nobody knows about air brakes. I didn't know about no air brakes when I came to Metro. I was pregnant and 23 years old. And I still don't know about air brakes like that. So I'm telling you, it's possible. I'll go through the air brakes test also with you guys, but not right now. But literally, you mess the air brakes test up, you fail the whole test because the bus don't have brakes. That's bad. That's real bad. Now, you got the suspension and the steering system and your tires or your wheels, your drive shaft, and your engine compartment. It's other small things. I'm naming some of the major things that you would have to learn with that pre-trip. And once you learn those main things, because certain things like those have specific little things, little details that the examiner is listening for. And when he's listening for him, he's waiting for you to say 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch, or free from debris, and the coupling is not loose or worn or damaged. You know, they looking for certain things. But a lot of it is repetitive. So also with this pre-trip book, they're going to do maneuvers with you. So maneuvers would be, you know how when you go take your regular driver's test, you go out there and take your regular driver's test and you have to be able to parallel park. Metro have you driving a 40-foot bus. You have to parallel left and right. You have to alley dock, which is this one, and then you got to curve it in. You have to alley dock, and then you have to bag up straight. So parallel left and right, alley dock, and bag up completely straight. Well, you'll have a little wiggle room, you know, but straight enough. But Metro goes through all of this stuff with you guys because when you go out there to take your test, you don't know what the examiner is going to ask for. You don't know what the examiner is going to say, pre-trip the whole bus for me, including the engine compartment. Or you don't know if the examiner is going to say, pre-trip the passenger side, which is where the doors are. Start here and end there. And then you ask, would you like for me to include the stack, the exhaust stack? Do not forget that. The first time I took my test, I forgot that, and I got points off. I still got a high score and I passed, but I forgot that stack where all the exhaust fumes go out. I forgot that. And that drive shaft. I forgot those two things on that right side, because on that right side towards the back where the engine, because he told me don't do the engine, even though the exhaust comes through the engine. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, no exhaust, don't worry about it. But it comes out the top, which is not where the engine compartment is. So do not forget that part, please. I don't want y'all to do what I did. I didn't fail, but that could be your last point from failing and passing. We don't want that. We want you to do everything right when it comes to these maneuvers. And have minimum, you want to do everything right and then mess up a little bit where you just don't got it all the way, but it won't cause you to fail. You don't want to keep messing up on simple things and then next thing you know, you didn't fail before you got to the stuff you really know how to do. So let's get that together. I wish I can literally show all this stuff to you guys and everything, but I don't own a bus. And when I go to work, I'm at work, you know, like I'm getting ready to pull out and take out off to go start my day, go to my first destination. So when you go take the exam, they'll do a road test with you. Because if you get to the road test, that means you pass the pre-trip and your maneuvers. Now, let me tell you something. When you do that pre-trip test, the examiner is going to ask you, are you finished? Are you sure you're done? They will not let you know that you did not include something. You have to go through in your head and say da 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 in your mind. They will stand there and wait. They're not rushing you. That is your time to figure out if you missed anything. I don't care if they take you in the inside of the bus and they say only do the cab of the inside of the bus. You don't have to do the back with the poles and the seats. Do not forget the air brake test. They will not say, well, do your air brake test for me. You just have to know that that's a mandatory check, that you will have to check those air brakes for them. Do not get caught up in their lingo and let them throw you off your square to where you mess up, because you need that. You remind you, if you don't do that air brakes test, you completely fit. I don't care if they say you ain't got to do none of the bus, we just gonna go do maneuvers, and you say, well, no, wait a minute, I would like to do my air brakes test. You let them tell you no, you don't need to do it. Ask questions. Don't assume that they mean something else, because they don't. They want to see if you know what you're doing. That's all. So now when they take you on the road, oh, let me go back. When you do your maneuvers, especially like the alley dock, that's the bag up and then curve it in back. You got a certain amount of space to get your bumper into, like a rectangle of space. They give you 2 looks, meaning you can get out and look to see where your bus is positioned when you bag it in into that spot. So if you feel like, because you can't hit the cone, so there's a rectangle like this, and then there's a cone behind it. You cannot hit that cone or you automatically failed that test. So you get out, you get it back, and then you go out there and look, just to be on the safe side, because it's not real big, but you want to make sure your bumper is within it. And you get a couple looks each maneuver. So once you look, you fix it. Some of them you get pull-ups, like this one I'm talking about. I think you get 1 pull-up. I'm not for sure, but I know you get a pull-up. I never had a pull-up, just because I just took my time. Not because I'm better than anybody. I just took my time on a maneuver. But you got to check. Don't be ashamed to check. That could be your pass-fail. So now we on the road. You on the road. They watching your speed. If you're keeping up with the speed limit, they'll take you on the highway. Make sure you are going with the flow of traffic. You're braking softly. They're going to make sure that if you have a double left turn, this might look right on y'all side, but I'm doing left. So the double left turn, they want to make sure you stay on the outer side of the left turn, because you won't have enough space for that tightness of a left turn on the inside lane. They want to make sure you know that. They're going to see if you saw that road sign on the bridge when you're going under an overpass, if it said 12 feet 6 inches or whatever it said. They're going to ask you, what did it say? They're going to do a railroad crossing with you. They're going to tell you to pull over and pull back into traffic to make sure you don't impede on traffic, meaning you're not getting over in front of cars and stopping cars where they got to slam on their brakes. Metro is going to teach you all of that. They're going to teach you how to turn in that bus and that thing. By the time you're done, you're going to be thinking you're driving a car. I kid you not. Think I'm lying. And so it's highway, the signs. Oh, that street sign where it looked like a woman and a man and he got a briefcase, like they going to work. Don't get that wrong. I got that wrong. They said, what does that sign mean? I said, people working. He said, no, that means school's on. I said, what? How that mean? Out of all things, it don't mean lawyer or nothing. It means school's on. So, you know, they may ask you the signs. They may ask you to pull over, pull back in traffic. You got to remember your hazards and your blinkers. Do not forget that. Don't forget it, please. But Metro's going to go over that with you, or your company will continuously go over with you. And if you don't get it, please ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Them people making their money, how come you can't? Make your money. I'm a shy person too, timid sometimes and everything. But I wanted my money. I was tired of doing what I was doing. I was tired of being in an abusive relationship. I knew this was my escape because I can make enough money to get out of there. Do what you have to do to get this money. And once you pass that test, they give you that paper. You take it to the DMV with your DOT. Again, you got your license. And here in Missouri, I think it's $78. Pay for your license, but your license is good for what, 4 or 5 years? Oh, $78 worth it. And even if you don't want to drive the bus, you can go drive a truck with a CDL. It's just you go drive a certain type of truck with a certain amount of weight. So that's how you obtain your license, people. I'll go more into depth on another video about other things, but that's the main thing. All right.